Good afternoon, you guys. How is everybody today? One more week left of February. So I want to give you all a big giant virtual hug because I think a lot of us need it right now. The last week of February is not easy for anybody, never mind going through it during a pandemic. And so I know a lot of people out there need some extra loving today. So just keep on keeping on. We're almost at spring. The flowers will be coming out soon. Do something good for yourself. You know what? I wrote a blog about this last week, and I was really feeling that February, like, oh God, it's like the longest, shortest month of the year. And I was doing this meditation, and they were talking about putting yourself in a place where you really see yourself and how you want to be. And of course, you guys know me. I saw myself on Venice Beach roller skating like I was born on roller skates and just easing through and with the disco tunes on. So, you know what I'm doing today? I'm going to show you my Brenda Badome outfit, and I'm going to be a little uneasy getting up because I put my roller skates on today. So here we go. I've got the beautiful satin top, the houndstooth pants, and I'm feeling quite disco-y, disco-ish. So I'm really trying to embrace that, you guys. So I hope whatever it is you love, you will embrace, and you will work towards a happy spring and summer. Today on the show, we have an incredible guest. I am so excited to have her. I'm going to introduce you to her. And before I do that, I want to just remind you all again how grateful I am to our sponsor, Brenda Badome, who is sponsoring the clothing I'm wearing today. And you can go to her website, brendabadome.com, use the coupon code Get to Know Her, and you're going to get 21% off of your order, which is amazing. And you have to check out her Instagram today. She just posted a gorgeous black, like, cozy tracksuit with this satin as a stripe down the sleeves. Oh my gosh, I want that so bad. I'm going to introduce our guest now. Our guest today is Rochelle DeClute. Rochelle is a broker of record, CEO of DeClute Real Estate and Turnaround Interiors. She is a champion for diversity and inclusion and advancement of women. Woohoo! She gives generously of her time and often shares her expertise when speaking at events and leading the industry discussions. Rochelle is active in several community initiatives and recently held a position on the campaign cabinet for the Michael Garron Hospital Foundation. She has been nominated 3 times for the RBC Canadian Women of Influence Award. You guys, this is very exciting. I've only spoken with Rochelle once on the phone, and now you're going to get to see us talk face to face. Here she is. Rochelle.
Monica, thank you for having me.
Yay. Oh, I'm so excited you're here. This is amazing. Yeah, this is
exciting for me too. I can't wait to go shopping. That tracksuit sounds
I know.
outstanding. How great is that?
You can look glamorous and be cozy all at the same time. It's like a win-win.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's great.
That's so great. So I'm really happy that we get to have a whole 45 minutes of you all to ourselves today. I have so many questions. How are you feeling, Rochelle, in February? Have you had enough or what?
You know what? I've had enough. But I have to say, I often travel in the winter, and I've been fortunate enough to spend a lot of time in the sun. And this year, I'm so grateful for the beautiful snow, and I don't mind here. I'm kind of done with not seeing the people I want to see and hugging people.
Yeah.
It's so hard, but
it is.
Yeah. It's tough,
It
right?
is so hard. It is. And it's funny how these little things will kind of set you off. On the weekend, I said to my husband, all I want to do is just call up a friend and say, do you want to meet at the pub for a pint? Like, that's it. Is that too much to ask? No.
I know it's hard, right? And it's a little bit discouraging, but the end is near. And I think,
Yeah.
we're getting vaccinated, hopefully soon. The weather is changing. We're overall, we're doing okay, right?
Yeah, that's so true.
Those things. Yeah.
Yeah, we have so much to be grateful for. And there's a lot of blessings. There's a lot of things we're not going to want to go back to after this as well. So,
yeah, are you finding that too? It's true.
Yeah. It's like, oh, okay, now I know it's important. Thank you very much.
Right.
So, Rochelle, I want to ask you the question I ask all of my guests. What did little Rochelle want to be when she grew up?
You know what? I wanted to be an auto mechanic. So that was what I really wanted to be. My dad was, he built and raced stock cars.
Okay.
So he was kind of, he was a hero, of course, right? And I just found it fascinating how mechanics worked, and I got to spend a lot of time with him. And so I thought, I want to be an auto mechanic, until my dad said to me, do you want to walk around with dirty fingernails for the rest of your life? And I thought, no, I absolutely don't. So I changed my mind quickly, but I did take auto mechanics in high school. And I was the only girl in the class, and I could take apart a carburetor and I could put it back together without breaking a gasket. Now that dates me, because carburetors don't have that same kind of function now. But that's what I wanted to be, an auto mechanic. Yeah.
Oh, Rochelle, I could just imagine that in high school, though. You must have been like, when you know a girl who's like the only girl in an all-guy band, they're just like the cool. Like, I could just imagine your friends were probably like, our girl Rochelle. Embarrassed. No. Oh, I totally would have. I would have been wanting to be your friend so bad. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that was my goal. That's kind of what I thought. And I've had a lot of opportunities. I've done a lot of different things. I grew up in a real estate family, so it didn't ever occur to me to go into real estate. I kind of thought that was something I would never do. And my grandmother was a broker, and I spent a lot of time with her. Yeah. And of course, my dad, my mom was. So my brother and I grew up in this little real estate family, and thought we'll never do that. And here we are. So it's all good.
That's so great. So you're in the business with your brother. The two of you are doing this together. Okay. Yeah. And so when did that conversation happen? When did the two of you go from we're never going to do this to now this is...
You know what? It was my brother came into the business first. And I lived out west in Saskatchewan, in the land of the big sky. And it was great. It was a very different lifestyle. And my brother lived in Scotland, and he went into social work, and then he ended up doing some land assembly stuff. And he went back and visited my dad and his wife, my stepmom, Dorothy, and she's in the business as well. And he said, if I'm going to do real estate, maybe I'll come back to Toronto. He was ready for a change. And he said to me, you're thinking of coming back to Toronto. You should do this too. And I thought, there's just no way. And I came and spent the weekend with him visiting. And I thought, this could be fun. And that was like 1998. And so we kind of, we worked with our dad and stepmom. And then in 2008, we did a succession plan, and Rick and I became the team leaders. And 2011, we opened our own brokerage, and and then so it's been great. It's been really great.
Wow, that's fantastic. So I have to ask, what led you to Saskatchewan and your brother to Scotland?
So Rick first. Rick was he did his degree in criminology, and then he worked in social work. And as many people do, he became totally burnt out. And he was working in London, England, in social work, and just took some time off to go spend time with friends in Glasgow, and ended up living there and working in a bar. And then he went into this land assembly thing. So that was his story. And my first marriage took me to Vancouver. I lived in Vancouver for a few years.
Okay.
And then we moved to Saskatchewan, a little town outside of Saskatoon. So just this tiny little town of 800 people. And you know what? I made the most amazing friends, and I had the best quality of life. It was such a great place to raise a family, but I missed home, and Toronto was home. And so I was really glad to have the opportunity to come back.
Oh, that's great. What was the town called in Saskatchewan, just in case any of our viewers?
It's Dalmeny. So it's a little town called Dalmeny. Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice. I have a friend who grew up in, I think it's called Gravelburg. I don't know if you've heard of that. No. And French speaking, which I didn't even really know that Saskatchewan had French speaking.
Yeah, a big French community.
Yeah, and Brenda Badome is also from Saskatchewan.
Is she really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, look at how beautiful her clothing is.
See?
Yes.
Good things happen in Saskatchewan.
Absolutely. Yes. Shout out to Saskatchewan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So then you guys came back to TO.
Yeah,
and,
Rick first, he tested the waters. That's what you do with your younger brother. You know, you let him figure it out, and you ride on his coattails. So so he came back, and then we ended up working with our dad and our stepmom for a few years, which was amazing. To be able to work with family is a gift. And we still, you know, will say, hey, remember when dad did this or said that? You know, it's great. And Dorothy is now a real estate coach, so she's sharing her knowledge. And so it was good. You know, we had the best foundation. When I was a kid, I would sit beside my grandmother in her little real estate brokerage on Kingston Road. And we would, you know, there were no computers, there were no cell phones, right? You look up all the information, you type the offers on all the carbon paper and your fluorocopies. And I mean, she was like such a hero of mine, right? So you want to be like that. You want to kind of grow up and, you know, walk in her shoes. And here I am, you know, now.
Oh, that's great. I think that's so beautiful that you have that history and that your family shares that in common. It's just amazing. It's like this legacy just continues on and on, right? Of what you've created.
Yeah, it's nice. And now I have my stepdaughter works with us, which is great. So we get to have a lot to talk about. My stepson has just got his real estate license, and my son has his real estate license, but he practices real estate law right now. So it's all kind of in the family. So it's good. Yeah.
Oh, that's so great. So one of the things I really wanted to chat with you about, Rochelle, was your involvement with the Michael Garron Hospital Foundation and how that came to be. I know you and your brother are both involved in that. And a lot of people know about your Light Up the Beach fundraiser that you've done. And is it accurate you guys have raised $60,000 with that
I think we're a little bit ahead. I think we're a bit ahead of it right now. But so the Michael Garron Hospital Foundation is an amazing foundation. It's a small community hospital, not so small really, but a community hospital. And like, it's weird, you know, you think of different things you want to be connected with or involved with. And we were both born at Michael Garron Hospital. It was known as Toronto, the East Toronto Hospital at the time, East General. And our mom, who has since passed away, but she was sick and she was having surgery at Michael Garron Hospital. And Rick and I were in the waiting room, and you know what it's like. You're there when you were allowed to be, back when you were allowed to be there.
Yeah.
And someone was in the hospital, and it was the most dreary, dim, awful kind of waiting area, and the hallways were very old. The care was exceptional. So she just had the best nurses and the best health care, but the surroundings were really depressing and awful. And Rick and I said, if we ever are in a position, you know, to give a gift to a hospital or to give a gift somewhere, let's do it to this hospital, because it's been a good experience, but really it needs a facelift. And we didn't know that there was a plan in the works for a new hospital, or any of that. So we went ahead and we made a commitment to the hospital. We connected with the foundation. And so we first started out where we sponsored one of their events. So we became the presenting sponsor and made that commitment. And then we made a commitment that every time we sold a house in our organization, we would make a donation. So then we added that layer to it.
That's amazing. I read that and I was like, oh my God, like every single home you're giving back to them. That is awesome.
Yeah,
amazing.
It's been great. So we've been able to connect that way. And then we also decided that we did the Light Up the Beach event each year. And that just really started organically. It was a neighbor in the community came to my brother and I and our dad and said, wouldn't it be great if we could have lights on these trees? And he was connected with Toronto Hydro, and we said, okay, we can make it happen. So long story longer, went from a little group of I think 15 of us the first year to 3,000 of us the last year that we did the event.
Whoa.
So very big. And people wanted to bring unwrapped toys or something for the food bank or, something along that line. People were asking us each year. And we had just started, we had just made this commitment that we were going to become involved with the hospital. That was 5 years ago. And we said, why don't we see if we can promote Michael Garron Hospital Foundation and mental health and addiction, so that the money that we raise there goes to mental health and addiction support services. So our family has certainly been touched by mental health and addiction. And I think most people's families have. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of that thing 5 years ago, more so than now, that there was a lot of stigma around it. Mm-hmm. And we felt Michael Garron Hospital did a great job in the community. It is a community hospital, and we felt they really had great outreach programs, and they had good presence in the community to support people. So we also do we did the Out of the Cold Dixon Hall meal programs for many years. And, we knew a lot of the clients there were also seeing support services at Michael Garron Hospital. So that's how we chose Michael Garron Hospital and made that long-term commitment. And it's been great. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay, I have a couple of questions for you. First of all, I need to know how you got the 80,000 lights up, because I read that there are 80,000 lights.
Yeah. So
how did that happen?
Crazy. It's such a crazy thing. So the first year, Toronto Hydro did it. And you know what it's like when so they did it. They said, so this neighbor was able to connect with Toronto Hydro. They donated the first lights and they put them up and they took them down. And we connected with this amazing woman who has this lighting design company. And yes, there is such a thing. So she does lighting at the casinos, and she'll do Chinese New Year's and those kinds of things. Joanne Craigie is her name, and she has this great company. So we asked her to come and show us, how do you wrap trees to be spectacular? We don't want them just, up and down. We want it spectacular. Yeah. So she came and she showed the guys, the hydro guys, how to wrap the trees, and they did it. And then they took all the lights down, and we were kind of thinking, that is so easy. We could do such a better job. This is nothing for them, So the next year, Toronto Hydro said, that was way too much work. You can have the lights. We're not putting them up again. So we went to the city, we got the permits, and the city said, well, you have to install the electrical yourselves with our contractors. We did that. And then we hired some staff. And my brother Rick and I, mostly Rick, but I'll take a little bit of credit. We rented these lifts, these big cherry pickers, these zoom rooms, and we went up in the trees and started to do them. It was so much work. We had no idea what we were getting into. And then on top of that, so a full month, it takes a full month with a crew of 4 people and renting the cherry pickers and doing that. It takes a full month to get the lights up in the trees, but every time it rains, they short out. So you have to have someone who goes every night and That's the switches. So then Rick would be at midnight walking along the boardwalk with a ladder, flicking the switches to turn the lights back on. So it's a lot of maintenance too.
Wow.
And then we have to have the lights down by March. We weren't able to do it this year because of COVID.
Yes,
obviously, we couldn't distance the people in the trees, and we couldn't. There's a lot to untangling and replacing lights, but it's a big investment every year to do that. But it is amazing to see it and to have the boardwalk all lit up. It's a big investment, though.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And will you be able to do it this year? Is there a way of getting around it, or?
I guess it'll depend on, there's it's a lot of indoor work to prep to make sure, you're testing and you're detangling and you're replacing, and then you're prepping, and then you have the two people in there like face, right? Because you're so close. So I think if the vaccine rolls out and all goes well, we should be okay. We'll see. We thought we'd be okay last year. So last year we did Christmas corner instead. We set up a corner where our office is, and we put a bunch of big Christmas trees, and we decorated them, and we put Muskoka chairs around, so more than 6 feet apart, so the neighbors could have a place to go. And we asked everyone to donate, and we made a donation as well.
Oh, that's lovely. Wow. I'm so happy to hear that you had a plan B. Because I was thinking about that, like when you were sharing with me that it didn't happen, because of COVID, and I was like, is it because people were close together putting up lights, or is it because you don't want to attract all these people to all come to the same spot? But it's all along the boardwalk, right? So you can walk and enjoy it.
Yeah, so all along the boardwalk. The first night we have usually is the big crowd. So of course we knew we wouldn't be able to do that, but we had thought we could probably still do the lights, but it just wasn't safe, and you can't really, we have 4 people working all the time. So we have a dedicated crew of 6 people, and they're mixing together, and you just, you can't ask that of people when it's not an essential. It's not an essential, right?
No,
so
it's not. It sure feels like one. I'd like it. It's good for mental health. I think that would be a good argument. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. So what are your future plans, Rochelle, sort of like in working with the hospital foundation? Is there anything that they're doing right now that's new? Like, I know mental health is so much at the forefront now. And like you said, 5 years ago, even, it wasn't so much. Like, I know even in like in Burlington where we are, they have an area where people can go, but because there just isn't the funding, like they'll have people with mental health issues with roommates with someone who's like severely addicted to drugs, right? Like there's no separation of the two, and that sometimes makes it hard working with different clients, and it's tough. It's like you really need that funding from the community to help and put people in the spots that are right for them so that they get the treatment and the healing that they need. It breaks my heart. Yeah,
it does mine too. And it's something I didn't realize was how much the hospital relies on community support and community funding. And that's something I was totally unaware of. And then, of course, with COVID, the added expenses to the healthcare system and, the stress. And I don't know the ins and outs of that. That's totally not my thing. But I can only imagine the stress and pressure. We last week took 2,000 butter tarts. We wanted to do something to support one of our local businesses, but so we had the Sweet Oven, which is a beautiful bake shop in the Beaches. They did 2,000 butter tarts for us, and we took them to the staff at the Michael Garron Hospital, and they handed them out to the staff to just kind of pick them up. I think in the beginning, the beginning of COVID, people were out in the evenings banging pots and pans, and we had a billboard that just said, thank you, healthcare heroes. And, there were all these things that we were doing to really support our healthcare providers. And that's kind of fallen by the wayside. And I can only imagine in terms of mental health supports and addiction rehabilitation supports, that's got to be such a challenge across the board. So Michael Garron is building a new hospital, and there is a whole beautiful wing dedicated to mental health and addiction. And what I love about it is that they have a wing for children and youth, and it has a beautiful enclosed outdoor space and a place for meditation and yoga and sunshine and interacting together. And it's so well thought out. Many of the new rooms are single patient rooms. So to your point of people having more stress in any healthcare situation, I think many of the new rooms, the majority of them are single patient rooms. So I know there's a big goal right now in terms of fundraising, community support, and so we're on board with that. We're doing everything we can to support them, and hopefully they'll reach their goal and be able to really do some more community outreach. And I think that's really where we see that the help is most effective, and they do such a good job at that. But I think with COVID, everyone's feeling it.
I know it's so hard. And it's like, I was speaking with a friend of mine that she has a run every year called the Bright Run, and they raise money for breast cancer research in Hamilton at the Jervinsky Cancer Center. And she said, having to go from a physical run to a virtual, she's like, I'm going to do whatever I can to raise the same amount of money, because we have a pandemic, like mental health, it doesn't go away, right? Like these things are all, breast cancer does not go away. All this stuff, it's still there, and we still need to rally together to support these things. And it's just so sad that this COVID's kind of come in and taken over. But I think it's wonderful. Especially, we need people like you who are constantly raising awareness and showing people, like, don't forget, this is what, that Michael Garron Hospital Foundation, that's got to be huge in your community and where most people will go, right? And
it is,
so, come on.
Exactly. And it's become a big COVID hospital too. So they have a big testing center, and so it's been really nice to be connected with that. And I think that's something I grew up with. It was something that was always a part of our lives. Our mom was, she worked in women's support services, and she was very connected in the community, and very, open to helping people. And we never knew who we were going to have at the table for dinner, and that was just kind of the way we were raised. And I can remember our dad taking us through the park as kids, and giving things to homeless people at the time. So we weren't afraid of people who were different than us. I mean, we grew up in a very privileged, amazing home, and so that was instilled in us early on. So it is something that we do try to be aware of and try to live by. And Michael Garron Hospital just resonated with us. It's something our entire community, regardless of who you are or where you come from, is able to connect with. And I think and I don't know the statistics off the top of my head, but one of the biggest populations of English as a second language in Ontario, if not across Canada, in one hospital, is at the Michael Garron Hospital. So the diversity in the catchment area of the hospital is huge. So it's really nice to be associated with that kind of an organization, and kind of know that you're immediately reaching your entire community, which is different than sponsoring the patios at the restaurants or sponsoring a school fun fair, which are so important and needed. But to kind of think, wow, it doesn't matter your religion, your background, what your needs are. By supporting this hospital, we're able to support the entire community. So that works well for us.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic, Rochelle. So I also want to talk to you about your staging business. Like you don't have enough on your plate. You're so multifaceted. That's what I love about you. It's just like, lots going on.
The staging business is super fun. It's just started that we were like the Beverly Hillbillies. So Rick and I would go, we'd list a house in the day and we'd take his pickup truck at night and we'd go put a couple pieces of furniture in. And that's how it kind of started. Like, it's just this crazy way of evolving with the business. So in the beginning, we used my garage and Rick's pickup truck. Honestly, that was our staging company.
I love it.
So we had this IKEA furniture, and I remember one time we were on the Gardner with this IKEA furniture we just bought, and we lost a chair, and the stories I could tell you, and had to stop and go get the chair. And anyway, so that's how we started. We now have a 12,000 square foot warehouse with an amazing operations manager and beautiful, beautiful furniture and decor items. We have a great inventory system. We have 5 designers who work with us. We have 2 trucks, a staging crew of 6 guys, and we have that collaboratively with the Wright Sisters team. So we have that together, and it's just the 2 real estate teams that use it, and it is the funnest part, I think, of the business, is that staging business, and having the opportunity to work with these designers who are on top of all the trends, and they look at homes so differently than I would. They go in and they look from a buyer's perspective, and they want people to come in and be excited about the homes. And it's kind of a fine tuning of taking enough of the personality out and making it appeal to the most people. So that side of the business is super fun, and it's great.
Oh, I love it. And clients, I mean, I assume when they work with you guys, they're open to all of that.
Yeah.
But have you ever had people who are like, you're going to do what? You're going to take all my stuff out and put the, like,
what? I think it's a fine line. So it's more about enhancing a space than it is kind of taking everything out and replacing it with other things.
Right.
The fine line is making it not feel like kind of that model home, but a home. When you just have that great feeling when you walk into a home and it feels like home. And if you can achieve that and people are comfortable, I think people want to, when you're buying a house, it's such a huge decision, but a lot of that is emotional and you want it to feel like home. And so when we're selling a house, we want it to feel like a home and that it's relatable to people who come into it. We're not, our designers are very good at walking that fine line, and they don't typically offend people, but yes, we have had people who say, I'm not doing anything. This is the way it is. Like, kind of take it or leave it. I will not be doing anything. And then to the other side, we have people who say, I'm going away for 3 weeks. Do whatever you want. Here's the keys. You want to paint? You want to do furniture? You want to change fixtures? And those are my favorite. I love them.
Of course. And I'm sure, like, I mean, I know every case is probably different, but, percentage wise, like, people must get far more than they expected when they invest that time and money to do it.
I think the last time I looked, the National Association of Realtors, it was 23% more, I think is what it was.
That's a huge
number, 17 to 23% off the top of my head. So it is huge, and when we decided to go into it bigger, we really looked at it in terms of our business. So how best to affect our business? And is that to invest in flyers, billboards, or do we invest in our clients and make the investment in furniture and staging having the warehouse, having the inventory systems, the insurance, the employees, the trucks, replenishing the furniture every single year because styles change. So it's a big commitment. So do we look at doing that, or do we take that money and do we put it into marketing in terms of, billboards and postcards and those kinds of things? And we made the decision to invest in our clients in terms of the staging, because we thought we're a small family-owned local business, and we know our clients, and we know kind of what's important to them, and getting the most money at the end of the day is something that's important to them. We felt it would kind of snowball if we did it that way, and it has. People appreciate it, and it's worked out well, and it's been super fun at the same time.
Oh, that's good. And I'm sure too, Rochelle, like you must find that like making that sort of a decision in your business, now you're getting more word of mouth business. Like the referrals are probably so great because it's like, you're getting the same types of people who want to keep working with you. And so you're attracting all the right people. Whereas sometimes maybe with a billboard, it's like, who's going to call you? And then you got to go through that whole process. Is this the right client? Are we right for them? Are they right for us? But yeah, I love this. And it makes people feel good, and they're a part of something. Like you want to see people be successful with selling their homes and then moving on to another place, right? And
and you want to take the stress away for them too. Selling your house is so stressful anyways.
Yeah.
If you can go in and kind of do that heavy lifting for them, how great is that? It really is for everyone. So it's about the experience, and I think you probably find that too. Like I know when I open that piece of jewelry and I get that bracelet from you, it's amazing. And the little note, you just feel like you're excited, and it's a nice experience. And we want that entire process to be a nice experience, not a stressful one, and where people are feeling like they're moving all my stuff and I don't want them to, or, good at kind of talking through that and explaining it to people. And I think, it's important.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so magical when we can, take people through whatever it is we're doing and make them feel so good on the other side. Like that's the stuff that gets you up in the morning, and, you just,
isn't it? Yeah. And I feel like, I know probably everyone in the business says this, but I feel like we really do have the greatest clients. Like you get to know people and you get to know their stories, and it's a privilege to work with people and to be able to feel like you've helped them achieve their goals. And, it's nice. It really is. It's a feel-good thing. All of it.
It is. Yeah, it is such a feel-good thing. And I think too, like, especially now with this whole COVID thing, I feel like the more niche, the more small, the more like we're doing special things for people in our own areas, in our own communities. Like it's so important. And I know you feel the same as I. It's exactly where I want to be. Like I remember when I was in my 20s and 30s and I was like, I want glam jewels to take over the world. I want to be everywhere to everyone, doing everything. And I so much now, I'm just like so happy that I've built the people around me who are good for me. I can make a living. That's all anybody can ask for, right? It's and to give back, like, it's totally just amazing.
But that's it. When you can go to work every day and be surrounded by people you truly love and want to be with, and I think when you don't like it or it doesn't give you energy, it's not your passion, you kind of know, okay, show's over. It's not what I want to be doing. But it is true. And like you say, it's connecting in your community. And for sure, we had those, you kind of want to take over the world. And I'm competitive. I won't, I am competitive. I want to be top of my game. But more importantly, I want to like who I'm working with. I want to, feel like I'm contributing in a positive way. And that's really important as well. So,
Yeah, and it's nice, say, Rochelle. I mean, you and I are still a couple of young babes here, but I will say that I will say, like, as we get older, you really start to, as you're sort of coming into your own, and especially in business, I just really, really feel that sense of there is nobody else like me. So that's good enough. Like, it's all good, and that's what we should all celebrate as women, and just, the, just really,
The
really appreciate.
authenticity and
Yeah.
having permission to just make mistakes and do your own thing, and at the end of the day still know everything's okay. And it's all good, right? I think you have to have fun with it. You have to like it.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's all good. And I wanted to ask you too about, so you've been nominated 3 times for the RBC Women of Influence Award. That's so exciting.
It's so exciting. It was such an honor. So it's a lot of work. Like, you have to do all these, it's a major thing. So I was nominated 3 times, and it was such a great experience to go through that. You have to have your business plan together and all of your financials, and it really makes you think, and it really makes you kind of look into yourself and what your goals are and what's important to you. It has to be a female-led business, and it really gave me an awareness of what's important in business, and just a different kind of perspective. And it gave me confidence too, to be able to go through the process in terms of looking at the business as a business, and looking at all the profit and loss statements, and making sure that, the criteria was met. It's very stringent, the criteria, to get through each process of that nomination system, and to move to the next level. And the next level is very, very stringent and really, really educational. So it was super fun. I love doing it. It's amazing. It's an amazing process to do it. And I was surprised each time. I was surprised by it. So the most recent time, I got some very good feedback from the committee, and made it to a whole new level. And it was great. It was a good experience. So I don't know if I would. It's a lot of work. It's a ton of work, but very good. So it was a nice nomination, and it was something I'm super proud of.
Good. Oh, you should be. And so that's cool, Rochelle. I didn't realize you actually get to sit with the committee. Like,
they give you written feedback at a certain level. So the first 2 times I didn't get the feedback, but the second time I got very good feedback, very concise and excellent feedback. And it is such a growth opportunity to look at your business from that perspective. From these high achieving people, from that perspective. So I really enjoyed that. It really changes the way you view everything. And it's not even about profitability. Of course, that's a big goal for everyone, is profitability, but that's not what it's about. It was about looking at diversity in your workplace, and looking at how many women are there, and how many are in leadership roles, and what's the, is there equality in terms of workload, and in terms of processes and pay and opportunities and titles. And as a woman, I would think that would be second nature, but it wasn't. I really had to step back and look at it from a whole different perspective. And, it's eye-opening to do that. So it was a great experience.
Oh my gosh. Your grandmother sitting there in her little office, she would be so proud of all of this, eh?
Yeah.
Amazing. Like,
now. Yeah.
God. And to think, back in her day, even in your day, real estate can be a male-dominated industry, especially I would think, like, in the brokerage area, right? Like I don't know much about that, but just seeing as when my parents went through the motions of different transactions and that, it was always men in our house for insurance, for mortgages, real estate. I don't ever remember a woman coming over.
Yeah, it's true. I think it's come a long way. I like to think it's come a long way. For sure. I think it's different. It's a different industry. I think we have, a more even playing field than some other industries now. But, I kind of have always felt I was able to do anything. I've always felt that I didn't ever feel that I was in a different kind of position than anyone working beside me, or that, in terms of, male or female roles. I guess growing up with a mom who was a strong feminist, that really helped. But, I didn't ever really approach it that way. And I previously worked in my corporate life. I, previously worked in insurance claims in the insurance industry. So it's funny you mentioned that. Wow. And so, I always felt I was, aware of differences. But in real estate, it seems to be a much more balanced playing field. Yeah. So,
and I was going to say, your way around a carburetor. So nobody can mess with you anyway. Right?
If they only still had them. Yeah.
That's so great.
Good. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's so fun.
You learn, right? Like it's great. All these different experiences, and then it comes together, and it kind of makes you who you are. At the end of the day, you've worn different hats and learned and become a different person. So
it's definitely
it's interesting.
Yeah, it's like the second, like I feel like now I'm like, I feel like I've only just begun, and I'm thinking like, how did people retire at like 55 and 60? I don't think I can do that.
I couldn't do it either, and things changing up so quickly. I look at my daughter my youngest is about to graduate university, and I think like so much ahead of her, and how could she be graduating? And I am certainly not ready to hang up my hat yet.
I know. And when you do you ever think about your daughter and then think of when you were that age? And it's like, remember how we used to think it was like, I have to pick one thing and then I'm staying there forever. Like totally. That was how my mind worked. And I was so scared that my life was over when I was 25.
Were you
what the hell?
Yeah. You in jewelry then? Is that what you did then?
Well, I was actually painting wall murals. My first business was hand painting T-shirts for kids in high school. I was even in the high school store, but I worked. It was great, but I worked for Canada Post for 18 years. And I built my business on the side. Yeah, I was like an account executive for them. And I used to work out of Midland and Ellesmere, that area.
Oh,
yeah. Wow. And I love the East End there. My mom actually, she grew up on Woody Crest. Do you remember?
Kidding.
You know Woody Crest?
Yeah,
okay. And she went to Riverdale.
Oh, wow.
And I have to share this one story with you, Rochelle. It was so magical. So my father passed away in 2012.
Oh, sorry.
And and Catherine, our good friend Catherine Vanderoy, she reached out to me and she said, Monica, you won't believe it. Your grandmother's house is up for sale. And it was during that week of like funeral and all that stuff, and the whole family was together. So she got us into the house for a tour.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it was so amazing because all these memories came flooding back. Like I pretty much grew up there till I was 14, and just being in the neighborhood. And it was so funny because they'd done some remodeling, and my mom walked into the upstairs bathroom and she went, "Oh, honey, you were conceived in here." And I went, "In a bathroom?" And she goes, No, that was a bedroom. It used to be the bedroom.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
So much information. And Catherine did that. Like, Catherine is an amazing woman. She just has, she is just so great. And, you know, we did a collaborative merger with the Wright sisters in 2017. And I have to say, from day one, Catherine has just been this energy and this person who is just so warm and so amazing. And yeah,
I love her so much. Yeah, so I went to high school with her brother, and then we became friends later. Nicholas kept saying, "You got to meet my sister. She's a big time jewelry. She's got her own company in the States, and she reps all these beautiful lines." And I was like, "Oh my God, really?" You know. Yeah. And I was always like, "When I meet the Catherine," and then we just hit it off, you know. And I know she's crazy about you, and she's just so wonderful. I always say to her, hanging out with her, it's like being in an after-school special. Remember those? You never know what you're going to get into. It's always an adventure.
Yeah, it's so true. I find, I have challenged myself to do a few things I never thought I would be doing with Catherine. So, no, she gets you out of your comfort zone, that's for sure. But it's always fun. And she's pretty remarkable.
Yeah. And she's a good connector because she connected us, and I'm so happy.
Yeah. Me too. This is great. It's been really good. And it's challenging, you know. I have not done a live anything ever. So this has been super fun to do this. It's so different. Yeah.
I'm so glad you
and
I do it once a week.
Yeah, the greatest women. Like it's such a pleasure to be in that group.
You are in the group. Are you kidding me? Oh, it's so good. I'm so happy you agreed to this today, Rochelle. And I want to invite you to a little Instagram after party. We'll do like 10 or 15 minutes on there.
I'd love it.
Thank you for your time. Didn't it feel like 5 minutes?
It felt like 5 minutes. Absolutely.
I know. It goes too fast.
Thank you so much.
All right, my darling. We'll talk soon. You can actually hang out in the back room, and I'll come back to you after I say goodbye to everyone. Okay. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Rochelle certainly is amazing. We got some beautiful comments today. So I truly thank you so much for joining. I will be answering those. I want to remind you guys, if you are watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. We want to have you on our Get to Know Her channel, and you'll get weekly updates from us on who our guests are, and we want to continue to inspire you and light up your Tuesdays or whatever day of the week you choose to watch this. Thanks for joining us. Check out Brenda Bedome at brendabedome.com. I'm going to leave all her information, and use the coupon code Get to Know Her for 21% off of your order with Brenda. Have a fabulous day, and keep showing the world your sparkle. Bye for now.